welcome to the Unionverse. Today I'm going to read to you a small snippet from one of my favourite books of all time, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Now, this is possibly one of my favourite books of all time, as you can probably tell from the very thumbed copy I have here. I do have two copies actually in my house at present. This is the least thumbed. I do read it that often. I've had many copies over the years and I've given a lot away, be they to strangers, be they to friends. But I just think it's probably one of the greatest books of all time, and it's certainly the book that inspired me to write and draw creatures and monsters in the way that I do. The book, don't get me wrong, I love the film, so like, and the monster, so like in the way it's portrayed in the films, it's a different creature. The monster in the book is clearly the Doctor who creates the creature. So I'm now going to read for you this amazing work written by Mary Shelley on the year without summer, when Krakatoa exploded and stole everybody of their summer, and so a beautiful summer holiday with Byron became a writing exercise. And this is probably one of the moments that you all think you know, but it's just so beautiful. It was on a dreary night of November that I beheld the accomplishments of my toils. With an anxiety that almost amounted to agony, I collected the instruments of life around me, that I might infuse a spark of being into the lifeless thing that lay at my feet. It was already 1 in the morning, the rain pattered dismally against the panes, and my candle was nearly burnt out, when by the glimmer of the half-extinguished light I saw the dull yellow eye of the creature open. It breathed hard, and a convulsive motion agitated its limbs. How can I describe my emotions at this catastrophe? Or how deline it, the wretch whom with such infinite pains and care I had endeavoured to deform? His limbs were in proportion, and I had selected his features as beautiful. Beautiful! Great God! His yellow skin scarcely covered the work of muscles and arteries beneath. His hair was of a lustrous black and flowing, his teeth of pearly whiteness. But these luxuries only formed a more horrid contrast with his watery eyes, that seemed almost as the same colour as the dun white sockets in which they were set, his shrivelled complexion and straight black lips. The different accidents of life are not so changeable as the feelings of human nature. I had worked hard for nearly 2 years for the sole purpose of infusing life into an inanimate body. For this I had deprived myself of rest and health. I desired it with an ardour that far exceeded moderation. But now that I had finished, the beauty of the dream vanished, and breathless horror and disgust filled my heart. Unable to endure the aspect of the being I had created, I rushed out of the room and continued a long time travelling my bedchamber, unable to compose my mind to sleep. At length lassitude succeeded to the tumult I had before endured, and I threw myself on the bed in my clothes, endeavouring to seek a few moments of forgetfulness. But it was in vain. I slept, indeed, but I was disturbed by the wildest dreams. I thought I saw Elizabeth, in the bloom of health, walking in the streets of Ingolstadt. Delighted and surprised, I embraced her, but as I implanted the first kiss on her lips, they became livid with the hue of death. Her features appeared to change, and I thought that I held the corpse of my dead mother in my arms. A shroud enveloped her form, and I saw the grave worms crawling in the folds of flannel. I started from my sleep with horror. A cold dew covered my forehead. My teeth chattered, and every limb became convulsed. When by the dim and yellow light of the moon, as it forced its way through the window shutters, I beheld the wretch, the miserable monster whom I had created. He held up the curtain of the bed, and his eyes, if eyes they may be called, were fixed on me. His jaws opened, and he muttered some inarticulate sounds, while a grin wrinkled his cheeks. He might have spoken, but I did not hear. One hand was stretched out, seemingly to detain me, but I escaped and rushed downstairs. I took refuge in the courtyard belonging to the house which I inhabited, where I remained during the rest of the night, walking up and down in the greatest agitation, listening attentively, catching and fearing each sound as if it were to announce the approach of the demoniacal corpse to which I had so miserably given life. Oh, no mortal could support the horror of that countenance. A mummy again endued with animation could not be so hideous as that wretch. I had gazed on him while unfinished. He was ugly then, but when those muscles and joints were rendered capable of motion, it became a thing such as even Dante could not have conceived. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, a book about horror, truly, but also a book about life, about love, about revenge, about all the human emotion you could possibly have. And I hope that reading it as often as I do has imbibed some of that into my works. Thank you for coming once again into the Unionverse, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.